This is like 30 years ago. I had a friend who was the CFO. Okay, I called to order the Lynchburg Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. The first order of business is the approval of our December 10th minutes. And
Make a motion to approve.
okay, and I do want to make a comment before I was noticing these, and I listen to I do listen to our city council meeting, and it's one of the things we do. We make recommendations to council, and I noted in the meeting last night that they questioned whether we did listen to their comments. So I did want to make a point that in these minutes, it does note that we did comment on the discussions that the city council has had in their planning sessions. I think that's important to note. So we do have two people, first and second.
Just to be clear, there was some conversation over whether or not we did.
Yeah, there was a comment that multiple times that we apparently had not listened to them. And but as I went through the minutes, I did note that we did reference that meeting. So
Matter of fact, I think we slightly debated on some of that.
yeah. So anyway, any other comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like side? All right, our next agenda item is the election of officers for 2026. We can move forward on that now, but we do have a pending 7th seat to be filled. So we could also postpone and wait until that seat's filled. Any discussion?
I make a motion to postpone it.
All right.
Second.
Okay, move to postpone. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, great. All right. Now we're going to be hearing a petition that's open to public comment. Petitioners or their representatives will be given 10 minutes to present their petition. Subsequent individuals wishing to speak will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes each, which will be noted by a tone. And representatives of an opposition group will be allowed a maximum of 10 minutes. So if you represent a group and that's recognized, that's a 10-minute. At the end of the public hearing, there will be an allowance of 3 minutes for rebuttals. Our next order of business is to hold public hearing on the petition of TPB Enterprises LLC to amend the future land use map from neighborhood commercial to community commercial and to rezone approximately 4 915 of an acre located at 1516 Greenview Drive, 798 and 794 Leesville Road. The tax map numbers are 266040005, 266040004, and 266040002 from R1 Low Density Residential, B1 Limited Business District, and B3C Community Business District, conditional to B3C Community Business District with conditions to allow for a fuel center and convenience store on a portion of the property. The existing garden center business is proposed to remain.
Members of Planning Commission. The city's comprehensive plan currently recommends neighborhood commercial uses for these properties. These areas are intended to consist primarily of retail, personal service, office, and restaurant type uses. They're scaled and designed to be compatible with and serve the immediate neighborhoods. These can be individual businesses, clusters of businesses, or shopping centers. The petition proposes to amend the future land use map to community commercial. These areas contain retail, personal service, entertainment, and restaurant uses and can contain clusters of businesses often located at major intersections. The area surrounding Greenview Drive and Leesville Road is also identified as a minor gateway into the city. Our comprehensive plan states that visual qualities and entry experience at each gateway should be considered. The subject properties were annexed into the city in 1976. 1516 Greenview Drive, which is the vacant parcel, has been zoned R1 low density residential since 1978. 794 and 798 Leesville Road were also originally zoned R1 low density residential, but were rezoned to B3C Community Business District conditional on October 13th, 1987 to allow for the expansion of an existing non-conforming nursery business, which is still existing today. A residential home at 798 Leesville Road was also to be used as either a residence or for uses associated with the nursery business per the proffered conditions at the time. The home at 798 was later rezoned from B3C Community Business District conditional to B1 Limited Business District in 1999 to allow the use of the existing structure as an office for a counseling service. If the petition is approved, the site would be developed into a convenience store, including a fuel canopy and parking improvements. The existing nursery business is proposed to remain. A traffic study was submitted with this petition. The city's engineering division has reviewed and agreed with the findings and the proposed entrance configurations. Those are sort of a close-up here on this slide. You can see there is a right-in, right-out, and left-in entrance proposed from Greenview Drive, and this would be the primary entrance into the convenience center. The existing southbound left turn lane would be modified to include this crossover, allowing the left turn. A right turn lane would also be installed with this entrance as well. And on Leesville Road, a right-in, right-out, left entrance is proposed. New concrete medians would be installed in the right-of-way in order to prohibit left turns into the site. The proposed entrance from Leesville would loop around behind the existing nursery business and be a secondary entrance. The existing nursery business, again, would remain in its current location. There would be no cross-access between the business and the convenience store per the submitted proffers. The proffers for Area A, which is the convenience store portion of the property, are listed here. A number of uses have been proffered out, which some of which would be less than ideal for a gateway into the city, such as short-term loans, cash for gold, et cetera. So those uses would be prohibited here. And another proffer associated with this portion is a 50-foot setback on parking and buildings from the residential use to the northwest. There is normally a building setback of 50 feet between residential and commercial, but parking is typically only 20 feet. So this increases that parking setback to 50 feet. For Area B, which is the nursery business, the proffers state that the greenhouse business is the only allowed use, that the access drive for the convenience store would be constructed as shown on the concept plan, and that there would be no cross-access between these two businesses. In summary, the proposed future land use map amendment to community commercial aligns with the requested B3C Community Business District conditional and is logical given the location at the intersection of two major corridors. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the B3C zoning that already exists on approximately half of the site. Approval of the petition would allow the existing business to remain and facilitate development of the remainder of the site. According to aerial photography, 1516 Greenview Drive has never been improved, and given the high traffic counts of the adjoining streets, is unlikely to be developed under the current R1 zoning. The proposed improvements to the two roads should mitigate traffic impacts, and the proposed entrance locations have been designed to provide as much separation as possible from the existing signal and limit conflict points. The city's technical review committee reviewed this petition on November 18th. Comments were minor in nature and would be addressed prior to site plan approval. Planning division recommends approval of the petition. Thank you.
Okay, who's here to speak on behalf of this petition? If you can come forward, please state your name. There's a sheet to sign in on and tell us a little bit more about your project.
Good afternoon, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Chris Burns with Westwood Professional Services. Our office is at 1208 Corporate Circle in Roanoke. I'm the agent working on behalf of the petitioner, TPB Enterprises, and I also have Garrett Zeckman with me here today on behalf of TPB. I'll just add a little bit to what Rachel's already presented, and then we're happy to answer any questions that you all have. You know, we're excited to be here today. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you all. Thank you to Rachel for sharing that background information. Very helpful, makes my job easier. And appreciate all of your help and city staff for you know, the help to get to this point. And we appreciate the recommendation that you all have provided. So just to add a couple little things to the summary, Rachel did a great job, but obviously this is a very important intersection in the city. It's, you know, at Greenville Drive and Greenview Drive and Leesville Road. We're about a third of a mile up from US 460, the interchange there. We're rezoning 3 parcels, as Rachel mentioned. About half of that is already B3, and so we're just modifying conditions to that portion. A lot of the property at the corner is residential, which, kind of a challenging location for residential. Rachel did a great job kind of talking through the proffers, so I'm not gonna add anything to that. But just to give a little bit more color around kind of the concept plan that we've got in front of you today, and the process that we've gone through to be here. So in the packet, we've got Exhibit B, which is this concept plan, Exhibit C, which is landscape concept plan, and then also some building elevations for you all. And as you can see, the intent is that the site improvements are being pulled up close to the intersection to maximize visibility for the store and also to provide as much separation as possible from the neighbors. It is a Wawa convenience store. I'm not sure if Rachel mentioned that or not, but I think that's known now. I did want to reiterate Gary's Garden Center is going to remain. I know that was a little bit of a hot topic in the conversation that I saw. As far as the development itself, building's located in the middle of the site, about 6,000 square feet. We've got 12 vehicle fueling positions along the frontage of Greenview Drive. Both the building and the fuel canopy will be designed to the Wawa brand standards, and you all have elevations as part of your packet. Rachel did a great job of summarizing the entrances. There's been a lot of work that's been done over the last 12 to 18 months with particularly transportation staff to work out those entrance locations and get to a point where everyone is very comfortable with the design that we've got, both from the Wawa side and also from the city side. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. In addition, we will have vegetated buffers along the northern and eastern property lines. Those are, there's a lot of existing mature trees there now that we're going to try to maintain as much as possible. And then those will also be supplemented where necessary, particularly along the closest to Greenview Drive along the northern property line. There's a little bit of open area there that will be filled in. Rachel mentioned the additional setback that we're providing along that property line as well, just to minimize the impact to that neighbor. And then in addition to the buffering, we'll have perimeter landscaping and internal landscaping as required by the zoning ordinance. As far as the process on the traffic, I did want to add to that a little bit as well. As I mentioned, we work closely with transportation staff throughout the process. With any project like this, we always start those conversations very early on, particularly on a corner like this. And I think, we landed on a design that works very well for the project, but I think that the city is also very comfortable with and supportive of. So we're very happy with where that's landed. Traffic study's been provided. It supports these improvements that we've got shown. Impacts to the intersection and to the roadways is negligible. I did want to point out we've utilized the same process for that traffic study that we utilize on any traffic study with VDOT or City of Lynchburg or City of Roanoke. We always use the same process. So based on real traffic counts, trip generations based on the ITE manual, which is the standard, and then we've modeled everything in the Synchro SimTraffic softwares as we would with any other study. As far as neighborhood outreach, in addition to the notifications that the city sent out, Garrett's team also sent out letters to some of the nearby owners as well, just to make sure that they were aware of the request and also to provide them with an opportunity to reach out if there were any questions or anything like that. There was a round of letters mailed out before the holidays and then a second round mailed out last week. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think we've received any responses to that yet. So that's what I wanted to share. We're excited the project. We appreciate the opportunity and your time today, and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. We might be calling you back up. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of the petition? Okay, is there anybody here who wants to speak in opposition to the petition? Okay, if you want to come forward, state your name and sign on the form there.
Good evening. My parent or my mom lives on Moorview Drive, and the traffic on Moorview Drive is very heavy already. Leesville Road, I'm sorry,
Excuse me, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
Robert Martin.
Thanks.
Sorry. So, the traffic there is very heavy, and it's specifically at the top of Moorview Drive. When you're coming out, you have to look left and right, and you kind of got to do it very quickly because the traffic that's coming from the Heritage School side, it's a little bit of a hill there. So I feel it's very dangerous there to get out of there easily. I can't imagine that this is going to help the traffic situation any. Just wondered if there's maybe some way we could get I hate to put another traffic light there, but another traffic light at the top of Moorview Drive, or some way that it's not so much traffic going from Leesville Road to Timberlake Road. That is extremely busy. Sometimes it's backed up. My parents' house is the third house on the left on Moorview Drive. Sometimes it's backed up all the way down to their house at that point there. So that's my biggest concern. Plus, it is right behind their house. If you look at that's 1005 Moorview Drive is my mom's house. And so you can see that they said they're going to leave the vegetation there or put some more stuff there, but it is going to make it more, I would think, louder and more lights and a lot, not as nice a neighborhood as it was in the past. So.
What did you say the address was?
1005 Moorview Drive. It might be 1003. They own 1003 and 1005. It's kind of two lots. I think their house is actually on 1003 Moorview Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak in opposition? Yeah, please come forward.
Good afternoon. I am Thomas Sorrells. I reside in the Wexford Homeowners Association, which is directly across from the Center development that is just over the hill from Moorview Drive. I frequent this intersection 3 times a day. It is honestly a central part of my life, and I do look forward to the development of this property, which has sat empty for quite some time with for sale signs up that have been a bit of an eyesore. I would like to, however, lodge opposition into the plan as currently drawn. To back up the traffic arguments, I filed a Freedom of Information request with Lynchburg City Police, specifically on the number of accidents occurring between Greenview Drive and Simon's Run, which is now, I believe, the new way is Compson or some such. As referenced by that Freedom of Information Act, in 2023, there were 6 accidents. In 2024, there were 8 accidents. And in 2025, there were 13. Quite frankly, you'll note here on the current exhibit that is presented on the property line between the boundaries of Area A and Area B is the existing Gary's Garden Center entryway. The proposed access A has been moved up approximately 260 feet. And then another 300 feet to that is Moorview Drive. As the previous person has stated, there is approximately a small hill at Moorview Drive. This brings access point A closer to the top of this hill, and leading to the left out is now a blind turn. I know that I myself have seen my wife in a totaled car accident due to turns at Moorview Drive. I have seen my wife or my neighbor also be totaled in being directed around an accident at Moorview Drive. And my mail carrier has also been in an accident that launched him across the width of Leesville Road and into the construction boundaries with the new Central development. As I said before, I do believe that this is a wonderful addition. I personally look forward to it, especially on the hot days where I bike my son to and from daycare. I do, however, question the feasibility of access area A and the safety that it would prevent to all traffic.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak in opposition?
Yeah, my name is Ronald McIntosh. I live right there at 783, right across from Moorview Drive. And it is, I'm gonna tell you, 5 o'clock in the evenings is horrible. It is really bad. I've seen a bunch of accidents there. You know, if we could get something done in that area to help with that would be really great. We really need something done. So, but that's it. Thank y'all.
Anyone else speak in opposition? Okay, do we have any emails? Okay, voicemails.
There was the one email that was forwarded to you, and it's in your packet, that'll be record for council.
Right. Okay, thanks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and the public hearing will be closed now, and now we can debate. Anybody want to start up?
Well, with the agenda order, we should let the petitioner rebut
Oh,
if they choose to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was actually going to be the gist.
Yeah, that's good, yeah. Well, you'll be up here for a
Sorry, I
little bit
just didn't-
anyway, so
Just tried to jump in
feel
before
free
it
to
got
come
too far.
forward and you know, address, I think, a lot of traffic issues here.
Sure. So I'm not familiar with the accident data. What I will say is, one of the first things that we look at is sight distance and making sure that we're meeting all the requirements there. And that'll also be part of the site plan process. We'll be required to show that we've got adequate sight distance. So, we'll meet all the standards as far as sight distance at both entrances.
Great. I'm sorry I didn't call you up. I think you hear this overwhelming issue about traffic on Leesville that I think is a much bigger issue than just this. And I just automatically went past that. But do we have any questions we want to address to the developer?
It sounds like, so as far as the entrance A, there was some movement on that. It sounds like in the past for us determining what you were going to do with that. And you say you've worked with the city. Is this a DOT area or is this all city?
This is under the city.
Under the city. So you've worked with the city road street planners on this. And do you have, what I hear is two concerns being raised. The traffic along here, along Leesville, there's a hill there, and then maybe they're related. Not hearing a lot of opposition to the Wawa, some obviously, but up there by Moorview, there's some persistent issues, and I don't know how much that has to do with you guys. More maybe the city. Rachel, has the city looked at potential need for a stoplight there up by Moorview?
I don't know that that's specifically been studied. I would say it's fairly close to the existing Greenview stoplight, and
Yeah.
you don't want to get them too close to one another. They start to become ineffective, I guess I should say. What I will say is about, could access A be moved up? I understand that, it may seem like that's safer to move it closer to Greenview Drive, but the closer you get to Greenview Drive, you're in the functional area of the intersection. So you're more likely to get into the queuing of the light, and then you have people trying to make movements turning out of the site blindly because their traffic is backed up at the light. So
I'm looking at the
access A is
drawing.
is in the really the best spot it can be. Realize it may not be.
Looking at the drawing, I mean, this looks like the overhead was taken at a relatively low traffic point in the day. But even then, if the traffic backed up much more than it did, you probably, if you had an entrance down there by the property line, where the Wawa's looking going versus the garden area, if it were closer down there, it could very well encroach on the backup traffic there in the high traffic times of the day. So there'd be no way to get in or out of there. So, I mean, entrance A, while it could be problematic, looks like it probably does corroborate, what the city's saying about it. So, it's good location.
I have a question, just to clarify the drawing, at least. I see down there at entrance A, are those median, like concrete medians, or is it just road stripes, or if you could cover entrance A and then the entrance on Greenville Drive, what the change in configuration would be?
Yeah.
Would be good.
So I'll start with entrance A, since that seems to be the more interesting one here. So in discussions with transportation staff, they wanted to prevent the left in movement there.
Sure.
And the reason was kind of what we've all been talking about. They wanted to make sure that we didn't end up with a situation, because you don't have room for a left turn lane there into the site. And so they wanted to make sure that we didn't have a situation where we'd have a couple cars queuing there, waiting to get into the site. They wanted to eliminate that issue. And so what we've got are raised concrete medians that will be built there that will allow for a left turn out of the site, but will restrict any left turn movement into the site.
Is there any signage on that? Those little concrete mediums, okay, can escape your attention.
For sure. We can pass that along to engineering. It's ultimately up to their call, up to them, because you don't want to oversign it, because you get sign clutter and it becomes hard to interpret, and also people hit them. But we can check with engineering as to whether that would be possible. And I know sometimes we have channelized medians that people tend to try to ignore. But in some cases, we're able to kind of extend the legs of those, so it makes it even more channelized and harder to basically disobey. So engineering.
You can see what they're doing on wards down below the mall with that new gas station's going in there, wherever it is. I mean, those medians they put in there for the traffic in there, in my opinion, it's tight. And if you drive, you can see all the rubber that's been, those things are brand new. You can see all the black rubber that's already rubbed along those things. And there was an accident down there already a couple of weeks ago that I saw. So I'm not a big fan of those. Well, actually, that came from us. I think we approved that. We're happy with that. But similar type situation, you get these low profile concrete barriers there, and they don't.
Yeah, and we'll work out the specifics of that with staff and
Paint them yellow or something.
yeah, we'll try to make them as noticeable as possible. The other thing is, a lot of times when the islands are in the entrances, and I don't know if that's what you're describing or not, but a lot of times when they're in the actual entrances, they need to be mountable, because you need to be able to get your fuel trucks over them, and if a fire truck had to get in or out. I don't really see that as being necessary here, so I think you could go with a non-mountable island, which would make it much more difficult to disobey. But not saying no one will do it, but you know, that left in movement was not necessary for the development anyways, because, you know, they can go up to the Greenview entrance and get into the site that way. And so I don't think there will be a lot of vehicles trying to make that movement.
Those flexi pole things, with the deflection tape on, whatever there. I mean, who knows?
The left out, like that is, that meets the VDOT requirements. Because you said this was set up for right in, right out, and left out for entrance A, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, just asking, like, that meets the VDOT requirements, the left out there,
So in
or
this
the,
case,
okay,
the-
it's not,
the
it's city.
City engineering division,
Okay.
rather than VDOT, but they were in agreement with the findings, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question. So looking at access, and I think Mr. Sorrells made some really good points. I appreciate like the balance of that, of his comments, but you know, the number of accidents, and I'm just like, that looks like there's going to be some problems with people getting across there, because I drive that road a lot also. And also, look, there's another entrance. It looks like a curb cut further down, right in between the garden center and the store. Is that an open curb cut? It's in the drawing as being open.
They'll keep the garden center entrance.
Yeah.
And there's not meant to be any cross access between the garden center and the convenience store, because the convenience store is obviously going to attract more users than the greenhouse
Okay.
does on any given day.
So that retaining wall will keep that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would be something else. Someone would go up there and like, I'm going to turn left. I'll go across 8 lanes of traffic
Right.
and not worry about it. So,
Apron between the garden center and Greenville Drive, they said. they were gonna
Oh,
remove.
yeah.
There is. That one will go away. The garden center will stay and just serve the garden center.
okay.
And then this access A is actually in a location where there's a curb cut already as well. So there's been a plan for an entrance there. And so that'll be in that location.
Correctly, on the return back, making a left turn to go back towards Heritage High School on Leesville Road, from the gas station, will they come behind, they'll have to come behind the nursery garden center to get back on, to make a left-hand turn on Leesville Road? Am I correct in that?
Yes, to exit the site in that direction, that's the way you would go.
Okay.
Or if they're trying to get back to 460, they still have to use access A with like a right-hand turn. That's the only way. So access A is going to be dumping a lot of cars in both directions.
How will impact the gentleman that spoke, that I think is beside the appliance, the little street beside the appliance shop there? How's that go? Will that further impact that area? Right now, it's pretty treacherous getting across the road there as it is right now. Will anything change on that? What's the name of that street? It's your street there. Mount Sterling?
Actually, we're at 783 Leesville, which is beside.
Yeah, Mount Sterling and Leesville. Right across
Here.
Directly across the street.
really bad.
This is more view.
It doesn't show up on our map. It's just outside of it. Yeah, I think, so my thoughts are with Leesville Road, I feel like we need to have a longer discussion about that, because the traffic there has popped up at so many of our meetings, and it seems like that's what most people are talking about. It'd be interesting to spend some more time. We don't deal that much with the traffic. That's not our purview. But I do think we need to figure out how we can start working on that. I have a question about lighting, because that was something, it's funny, you see this stuff, you see it on Facebook, newspaper articles. People have mentioned lights. What kind of ideas you'll have for lighting? Are you using shielded lighting, downward facing? What is the lighting component like for this?
Sure, and if you need to add anything, just feel free to come up. But, so there will be canopy lighting that will face straight down. It'll be shielded obviously by the canopy itself. And then there will be parking lot poles, and those will also be shielded. They won't be directed upward or anything like that. We're not allowed to do that by the ordinance. And then we'll also have to provide a photometric plan as part of our development plan to show that we're meeting all the foot candle requirements. I really don't think that's going to be an issue at all here because of the distance that we have from the property lines. But that information will be provided as part of the site plan process, as it always is.
Great, thanks.
Just if we could get back to the traffic on Greenview Drive, are there, it looks like maybe a left turn in and a right turn out and right turn in. Do I understand that right?
Yes, so you
Yeah.
can turn right into the entrance, you can turn right out of the entrance, and you can turn left into the entrance from Greenview.
Okay.
And so we'll have some modifications to that left turn lane and to the median
Okay.
to accommodate the left turn in.
Okay.
And the other thing I'll just add to this overall traffic conversation for context is with this specific type of use, most of the trips that are accessing the C-store are what we call pass-by trips. And that just means that it's traffic that's already on the road. You're going to work and you're stopping for a cup of coffee on your way to work or something like that. And so a good portion of these trips are not added traffic to the road. There's a little bit of rerouting of trips, turns and things like that, but a lot of it's not new traffic.
So you're saying it's not a destination sort of thing, like, amusement park or, yeah.
Right. The majority of the trips are already on the road.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were talking about that a little bit earlier. For the first couple of weeks, if you live, I don't know, anywhere else like the Lynchburg, it's going to be swamped, And then after that, it'll go to normal status. And if you travel to the Wawa on 29 South now, when you first went, it was just rocking. Now it's just, I think it's consistent with what you're saying. It's just folks who drive by and, you might go there. I know they have a good apple fritter there. I might drive out there and get there, but by and large, it isn't, as Dave said, it's not a Buc-ee's. It's how much it's really going to enhance traffic. It just doesn't seem that way to me, but I'm not a traffic expert. So I'll just
Maybe either one of Rachel or, I'm sorry, your name?
Chris.
Sorry about that. To me, the biggest thing that would be concerned about is people accidentally pulling into the green, what is it called?
The garden center.
The garden center, thank you. And then not getting disoriented and not understanding, what to do next necessarily. So I don't have a solution for that, but that does seem to me to be a part of the equation.
wants to maybe signage on the
Yeah.
entrance A.
Yeah, and there will definitely be signage at both Wawa entrances. And so we can try to mitigate that as much as possible. The other thing I'll say is, there may be a little bit of that when it first opens. I think as people get more familiar with it, I think that will subside as well.
I wonder if it'd be helpful to put up a sign there at the garden place, so
Yeah.
people know that
Yeah.
this is not Wawa.
Rachel, I have a question about the Moorview Drive road or intersection. I guess what's the process with that now, given that, we've had a few citizens come and say it's a busy intersection, people are cutting through, that sort of thing. Does that trigger another study or something for the city to see how to deal with the cut through traffic on Moorview? Or, how would the city look to address that?
So we can definitely pass along the concerns to our engineering division. It doesn't necessarily trigger a study because those are fairly costly. But it has come up before. obviously with development on Leesville Road. I think what we're seeing is the nature of Leesville Road being, it almost drives like a highway, you know? I mean, it's 2 lanes either direction. And by nature, it's attracting development. It's where commercial and larger developments are drawn to go. So we can share the feedback with engineering about, the concerns for Moorview Drive. I don't know that they've got any kind of corridor study in the works or anything like that, but we can check.
So one place I can see this potentially pulling, can you hear me okay? Pulling traffic out of is the students over Greenview Drive. So especially late night runs, does that sidewalk, Rachel, run, and I just can't remember, I've been through there a million times. Does that sidewalk connect all the way down to Greenview, whereas it might be walkable or bike rideable, or are they gonna be having to take cars up there and look for?
It looks like there's sidewalk of the full length of Greenview up through Cornerstone. I believe it's on both sides.
Yeah, sidewalk does go the entire,
It does.
even next turn, they on to Leesville Road, that sidewalk.
Right. So that is a good option.
Could I ask one question? My last question. I really like the project and understand the traffic, and I do think
We need to, as a community, think about that. But signage, we had a convenience store down the road, and there were some restrictions on the signage. What kind of signage will we expect here? Are these low signs? Are they pole mounted? Because I should know the ordinance, but
I'm going to invite Garrett up to.
there's no picture.
Respond to
That's
that
why
one.
sometimes we'll see a picture.
Sure.
The ground level signs, which for something like this.
Yeah, my name's Garrett Zachman with TPP Enterprises. We can also share some exhibits of signage. It's a prototypical Wawa signage. They typically like on the corner more, not a pole mounted, but a
Monument style.
monument sign,
Okay,
but it's
yeah.
lower to the ground. I think it's like 8 foot tall. I don't quote me on that for sure. On the corner that shows the fuel prices, and then usually at the entrances, depending on the intersection, they want just a small pole mounted that says Wawa entrance, exit, stuff like that. But not usually a monument necessarily at each of the entrances. Does that answer that?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a great view at the stoplight.
It is,
Looking
yeah.
towards the mountains, there's this massive sign in your way.
And as part of the site plan, we would make sure that any site distances or anything like that wouldn't be, your site distance wouldn't be inhibited
Mhm.
from the monument style sign. So
Thank you.
I had a question for Mr. Shirelles, is that right? If you could come up, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you had said you look forward to this site being developed, but this may not be the best fit. What would you envision as an appropriate?
I do think the Wawa is an amazing piece there. I mean, when you look at the convenience of what a Wawa provides, and I won't get into the fight or argument about whether or not you like Sheetz or Wawa, but I will say that on the current spot, I've lived there now for 7, 8 years. My wife has been there even longer. I literally hook my child up in a trailer and pull him on my bike all the way to his daycare, which is located at the Tree of Life. I ride that back. I'm in and out of that area. That being said, currently the only amenities are the one gas station that currently exists on Greenview Drive, which is on the opposite side of the street. This just provides a good spot to stop in. I will also appreciate something that is quite frankly very near to me to gas up on those moments that I do forget. I think for me, it's just a case of no matter how much convenience this may add to my life, I do have to ask the safety question. But then again, I also understand my own personal biases with the impacts that I've seen to my life. I do look forward to this. I hope we can find a solution that comes to a safety matter. The only thing that I would say is to reiterate Rachel's comments here, Leesville is continuously growing. We have seen multiple townhome developments pop up. There's one that has been completed by Heritage United. There is an additional one in construction between that and Heritage High School. And additionally, directly across from the new Centra development, there is the 88 townhome unit that is being built by Maddox and Sons Construction. I did want to call that out mostly because while the traffic study that is attached to this and in this proposal calls out the additional traffic from Centra, it however fails to take into account the traffic with that and how that will be generated. Additionally, to completely once again separate from this and to reiterate, sidewalks stop at Moorview Drive on Leesville Road. It is not uncommon to find pedestrians wandering in the road at all times of day and night. So I do have to question the increase of both car traffic and pedestrian traffic and what that means for a road that is not ready for it potentially.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that brings to attention, I mean, we have spent a lot of time discussing petitions along Leesville, and I've almost hit people walking along the road at night. There are no sidewalks. There's nothing there in place in terms of corridor safety. I don't, this is a separate topic. It's related, but I don't know how we would initiate concerns about Leesville in terms of studying how to make it a safer. Rachel, you mentioned the corridor. We've seen those corridor improvement studies. We've seen those along other roads, and it seems like we're putting the developments on Leesville before we've addressed the road itself.
For what it's worth, it's not a Leesville-focused study, but the city is currently working on a multimodal plan, and that's something that the Central Virginia Planning District Commission has initiated. And so we're working with Timmons Group to identify where we should be prioritizing multimodal improvements, looking at basically generators of workplaces, commercial, everyday needs, that sort of thing. Identifying those, denser development and trying to identify how to connect those so that we don't keep running into the issue of, people walking where you don't expect them and it's unsafe. And so how can we prioritize through different corridors? It may not, we're not able to put a sidewalk on every street, even though that might be ideal. How can we prioritize to make the most impact for the most people? So that's something we're looking at.
Well, in regards to this proposal, does anybody want to make a motion on this? Any more discussion?
I mean, while I hear the concerns of the community and I've seen the Facebook comments, and there are plenty of them, especially Wawa versus Sheets, I think this could potentially be a great benefit to the local community. I'd make a motion to approve.
I will add, I came in having looked at this, and it seems to make sense, but I wanted to see what the neighborhood turnout was to hear objections, and I think we've heard that, and I certainly understand what you're talking about. And your concern seems to center around the intersection at Moorview up there. The other two seem to have some positive feedback on what it's going to become. Again, traffic issues. So having heard all that, personally, I think this is a good idea, so I'm going to second the motion.
Okay. Any other comments before we go to a vote?
Yeah, just, again, I echo Dave and Chuck's sentiments on the great addition of Wawa to this area. I do have concerns about the left out at on Leesville Road, and then the I don't know what can be done to at least by the city to at least consider the traffic at the intersection with Moorview, but I really feel strongly that something, there needs to be something done to address those issues or look into them at a minimum and see if they're consistent with other places in the city that, we have the issue and we're dealing with it, or it's, a bigger issue than we think. But yeah, I think the Wawa plan looks nice, and I think it'll be a nice addition.
Okay, well, 2 motions, so we're going ahead and put it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, moving forward 5-1. Thank you for bringing that to us, and good luck at City Council. And our next order of business is we don't have anything else on our agenda, correct?
Yes, we should expect to have a meeting on January 28th. So
Okay. Well, since we're here, I do wonder if we, how we can move forward talking about Leesville Road. I've talked to council members also about this, and it becomes a tense discussion about development into the road. And I think that what the term, the strode, where it's a street, people live on it, but it's treated like a highway. And so, I remember we did a study on Campbell Avenue, and I think we have one developer who mentioned a road diet. Speed limits have been mentioned. I think that's one of the things. You have a 45, you've got Greenview as a 35, and how do you make that safer? And I think that the people who came here need to know that that's something that we do think is important, although we don't work on traffic, that we really do want to push some thought into this.
Okay.
So what could we do? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be happy to follow up with engineering, see if they have anything in their queue, and then maybe we could call it out as a priority in the comprehensive plan or something like that.
This Leesville Road is going to continue to be a problem. There are multiple sites on Leesville Road that are residential sites now that are going to be, developed as townhomes and apartments. I mean, there's a massive one coming right down the street from where the gentleman right there lives, right beside the CPA, the accounting office right there. And it's going to be a bigger problem as we move forward.
Well, Vice Mayor Deemer also has mentioned that, I've heard this several times, and other people say it, that people will go out and race on this. There's a long straightaway at one point, and there is nothing inhibiting that. So if we want people to live on a road, we've got all this R1. No one wants to live on a highway, but people do want to live on a street. And I think that's something, if we're committed to R1, we need to make our infrastructure match that. Another thing I wanted to ask about is the data center proposal. We had talked about looking at that, and they just mentioned that there was a group that got together at the not the chamber, but and they
There's a dinner
yeah, they're talking about this, and we're still we don't want to get into the mess that Campbell County they're trying to deal with now. So
Absolutely. We have a staff level draft that will be running by the city attorney and then bringing back to you at that point. There is, in researching what other localities are doing, there's a whole gamut of, very simplistic to extremely complicated. And so we want something that is both effective, but something that is not so onerous to work with that it becomes, prohibitive. So we're trying to find the balance for what's right for us and our code.
Can I suggest maybe you guys have already addressed this, Rachel, maybe they have, that we're not the only ones asking this question, obviously. And the big IT providers, I know it's a change of subject here, the big IT providers are seeing the same pushback across the country. Virginia's got more of these centers than anybody does
That's
in
right.
the country. And they're getting, as people become more aware of these, they're realizing the effects of these things. And so what the large companies like Microsoft even are doing, and Google, is they are getting into power purchase agreements for nuclear power. So they're looking 5 years down the road, and they're already building some of this infrastructure in Virginia, the nuclear providing power generation in Virginia. One is a fusion plant. Won't get into that, but maybe we jump the gun by looking at the need for powering these things, or even building these things when that may not be an issue 5 years from now. So that is, I know the power provision is a huge factor because it raises the rates, as is the water use, the water consumption. So anyway, just a little side note.
Okay.
All right. Well, anybody will make a motion? And you have, leave?
Should we adjourn?
Yeah, you can make a motion to adjourn. We can adjourn.
Let's do
All right. No one's in opposition, so thank you.
Thank you.